Well, here we are, folks. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. We are in the Stand Fast chapter of the book of Philippians. The Stand Fast. He said, "Therefore, my brethren, dearly beloved, as I and long for." What he's proclaiming here, that he's away from them right now, but man, is he longing to see them. He is longing to see them. And he said, my love for you Philippians, you guys, I came over there and I preached and you all fed me. You all put me up. And you all said to me, I believe what you say, Paul, and I'm going to ask Jesus to forgive me of my sin, come in my heart and save my soul. And he said, because of that, you are now my brethren, and I love you. And he said, my joy and my crown. It was like a crown on his head that these folks had received what he said to them. And they were following it. It was his great delight, that church at Philippi was his great delight. He said, so stand fast in the Lord, my dearly beloved. Now he knows they set out to do right. They set out to do everything good. And he said, now if you keep the cross, keep it in front of you. Keep what you believed first in front of you. And that will give you you'll be able to say to God and answer the prayer. It will keep the Holy Spirit built up in you. And when you pray, God will hear your prayer through the Holy Spirit. And he's saying, stand fast in it now, and it will become to you the spiritual latitude and longitude that you need. Did you know the only person that ever walked on the earth? Well, I shouldn't say he was the only person that did, because he had others that did. Enoch walked with God. He left gravity. Jesus had the ability to leave gravity anytime he felt like it. Anytime he wanted to, he could go up. He could leave gravity. There was a time when others in the Bible left gravity and rose up. And so Jesus is not held by gravity. He's not held by the world. He's not held by the world system. And he's not held by the world principles. He said, I beseech Judas. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but it's like Judah. Because Judas is a man whose name, and the apostle beseeches both these ladies, because it seems that they had been something between them. There had been something between them. So Paul is saying to them, which had affected the eternity of the church, or the whole part of the church this affected. Listen to what he said. I beseech, and beseech, I don't know how to say that, but it's like senchi, that they be of the same mind in the Lord. Here's a couple of people having a little tiff. And he's saying that because of their little tiff, it's like a rupture in the church. It's like letting all the air out of it for a minute, and like having a flat tire. And this rupture has ruptured the church. And he's saying, let's get this behind us. He said, I entreat you also, true yoke fellows. You true believers now, all of you true believers, he said, I'm beseeching you. Help those women which labored with me in the gospel. With Clement, also with others, my fellow laborers. What he's saying is, if you have somebody in the church that has a little tiff between each other, and he named names here, whose names are in the book of life too. By the way, he said, these are saved people. Their name is in the book of life. And again, I say rejoice. He said, rejoice in the Lord always. He said, their name is in the book of life. In verse 3. This is believers now. He said, don't throw them out of the church. Restore them. He said, restore these couple of people that has this little tear. You're sitting in my pew. You're sitting where I always sat. I've been sitting here 20 years. And you came in and sat down in my spot. You're sitting in my indent. That's my indent in that seat. Paul said, help them. Help them get over this. You might say to this Judas, since you had been sitting there for a long time, would you mind if you ladies are Christians, you want to get along together? How about sliding over a few inches and let her sit where she's been sitting? She just kind of likes that. Does it really matter? Does it matter enough to break the church up for you to have your own way on some silly little thing? Are you going to make contention in the church and in your life over some silly little thing? I love the fact when I first went to a church in LaGrange, Georgia, when I got saved, Oakside Baptist Church, Brother Ralph Taylor. He said to the committee, I don't care what color. You put the carpet in this church, you just go ahead and put it in. He said, I'm going to take care of the pulpit. Now when it comes to the pulpit, he said, you leave the pulpit, the preaching, up to me. And if you want to turn the pews around sideways or whatever you want to do, if you want to put purple carpet in, you want to hang blue lights, whatever you want to do, you do anything you want to do. But he said, leave the pulpit alone. That was where he was going to preach. And that was the important thing. And listen, we need to not let things in the church become so haphazard that we think that it has to be our way. There are many things that are said in churches that don't have anything to do with God. How you pass the offering plate has nothing to do with God. I've been in churches where they pass a bag. I've been in churches where they have the offering plate down front and everybody circles around and puts their offering in. I've been in churches where they pass plates around down the aisle and people put their tithing in that plate. I've been in churches do all kinds of things different. Hey, back when I first got saved, and I used to run around with a guy that sang, and we would go to little country churches. And we'd get in there, and the preacher would say, all right, come on you ladies, come on up here and you sing. And he wouldn't tell the ladies to go sit down. He'd say, now come on you men, you come up and sing with them. Has everybody in the church that's in the little church all packed on the stage and we're all singing like a choir. Now, I've been to several of them that did that way. And there's different things. Different churches have different things. But they don't, those different things don't need to split the church. You cannot. Let me tell you what Paul's saying right here. With Clemens also, and with other my fellow laborers. Fellow laborers. Are you a laborer? You labor in your church. Do you labor in your church? Are you a church member that would say, do you know I see some trash in the parking lot and we need to get somebody to pick it up? Oh, is that so? Did you drive by it? Did God speak to you about it? And you say, we need to get somebody to pick. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? I don't care if God's giving you a Rolls Royce. I don't care if you have the best job, the best car, the biggest bank account. It matters not. If you see a piece of trash in the parking lot, it is your duty to pick it up. Whatever God brings to your mind at the church that needs to be done, it is your duty to get involved. If you're a man and you don't like something in the men's restroom, it is your duty to go in there and take care of that something. If you're a woman and you don't like something in the woman's restroom, it's not your duty to say something to somebody about it. It's your duty to take care of it. What is a whole Christian? A whole Christian is a person that his manner is all Christian. I walk by pews. I myself am a guy that likes a piece of candy in my mouth during church time. And I put my paper in my pocket. And I walk up by the pews coming out. And other people like the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Except a lot of people leave their paper in the pew, figuring somebody else will take care of it. Yes, somebody else will take care of it. I take care of it. I pick it up as I go up through. I pick up the papers and the gum wrappers and the candy wrappers and the stuff just left in the pew. On my section where I come up through that section. That's your job. If you are the one that leaves that paper, that's a mark against your conversation, your manner of life. Do you do that at home? Do you use that last piece of bread at home and just wrinkle up that bread package and throw it in the corner or on the floor? Do you do things at home, drink a can of drink and just leave the can sit there? Or do you dispose of it? Do you bring a bottle of water in the church, drink it, and leave your bottle in the pew? You say, well, we got a woman cleans the church. Yeah, we have. We got 500 people in there, and she has to pick up behind every single one of them. Let me tell you what. You can fail in such little things and they become worrisome to somebody else, and then they become a spiritual problem because of it. Let your moderation, that's being satisfied with less than other people have, be known unto all men, even unto your enemies. And the Lord is at hand. This means that the Lord is on the scene, that He sees you. He sees your good deeds, and He says your bad deeds will one day be revealed. Verse 6, be careful for nothing. That means don't worry about anything. But in everything by prayer and supplication. What he's saying is by prayer and supplication, this presents the cure for worry. This is your cure for worry. You won't have any worry about things if you are believing in the prayers that you're praying, and you are praying, if you are praying, with thanksgiving. Think about all God's done for you and I in the United States of America, in this country. Think of what He's done in the past, think of what He's doing right now in the present, and think of what He's going to do in the future. He said, let your requests be made known. This is what Paul's saying. Unto God. This speaks of all things. When he says, let your requests be made known, it speaks of all things, physical and spiritual. I'm 75. At 75, God's given me a pretty well-rounded physical life. Do I have to take a little medicine? Yes, I do. But He's given me a pretty well-rounded physical life, considering for years I was on a self-destructive mode and should have died then. Verse 7. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ. Whew. Man, ain't this something? The peace of God, that's a sanctifying peace. Sanctifies you on a daily basis. Keeping you. This is I don't know, but it's beyond, or it pales. It pales the human comprehension that God Himself would be so concerned with you and I that He would answer our prayers, our earnest prayers. He would answer our fleeting prayers. He would answer our laying on the bed with a head on the pillow saying, Lord, tomorrow I got this horrendously hard day ahead of me. Would you go ahead of me, Lord, and prepare the way? And have light come in your head. And have this grace come over your body that says, I hear you, son, and I'll do that for you tomorrow. Here comes tomorrow. You go out and the parking lights have been left on in the truck all night, or the car, and it won't crank. You have another vehicle in the yard and you have jumper cables and you jump it off. Mumbling and grumbling and complaining. And the Lord said, I said I'd take care of it. And you say, but Lord, you didn't take care of it. Look at this problem I've got. And God said, you needed that problem so that you could see you don't need to be grumbling. I gave you 2 vehicles and a pair of jumper cables. You lazy rascal. Put the jumper cables on there and jump it off and be glad that you could do it. Wow. Lord, I thought you was going to give me a good day. He said, I am. Your good day is according to your mind and your heart. It's not according to these circumstances. If you're going to live your life according to these circumstances and not according to what I said, then you're not going to have a good day. I told you I'd give you a good day. But a good day is your frame of mind. You say, Lord, my wife hit a deer the other night and I haven't got but one headlight. Man, I'm leaving early this morning and it's dark and I'm going to pass that policeman downtown and he's going to blue light me. Sure enough. Sure enough. Faced that situation my own self this week. Went by him, right behind me, blue light. Sir, did you know you had a headlight up? Yes, sir. We hit a deer last week. We've ordered new headlights. And we have. And so, does that ruin my day? No, it doesn't. You know what I did? I said, sir, wait a minute. He turned around. I said, hey, here, I want to give you one of these. This is a gospel tract. Are you going to heaven when you die? And he said, yes, I am. That's a policeman. Yes, I am. I said, good. If anybody needs to go to heaven when they die, a policeman does. Did the devil ruin my day? He tried. I'm not one that likes to be stopped by the police. I'm not one that likes them to get behind me and read my tag every day. Wouldn't you think after a while they'd begin to know who I was? They done read my tag so many times going through certain town. And it aggravates me. So what do I need to do? How do I get over that? I want to have a good day. Jesus said, I'm going to give you a good day. How am I going to have a good day? I'm going to change my frame of mind. And I'm going to pray for that police. I'm going to pray for him. If I pray for him, I can't be cursing him and praying for him at the same time. The police are supposed to be good for us. They're supposed to be helpers. I'm sorry that some of them aren't trained in that manner. But that doesn't make them all bad. Just because we have a few bad ones doesn't make them all bad. So, let's see. Let's see this. Verse 5, we're going to be looking at the don't worry situation. What everybody in America is today is worried about this, worried about that, worried about this, worried about that. Whoa, wait a minute. God said, don't worry, let your moderation. That's being satisfied with everything that's happening around you, being satisfied. I always think about my flat tire that I had. I always think about my flat tire I had on the interstate about 20 years ago. And I was saying, woe is me. I'm late. I don't have the time for this. I don't have the money for it. And what was the really biggest problem? What was the biggest problem with the whole deal right there? You know what the biggest problem was? That I didn't take the time to make sure I had a spare, and make sure I had a jack, and make sure if I ran over a piece of steel and blew a tire, I had a way to change it. No, I didn't have all that. I'm driving down the road on 4 tires, believing that they're going to run forever and I'm never going to have a flat tire, and I got to be there at a certain time, and I'm hurrying, and bang. And the Lord said to me, there you are. And I'm grumbling, and I'm complaining, and I'm having a sweat, and I'm having a hard time, and I drive on the flat tire up and across the bridge and come to a tire place. And the man says to me, we don't put tires on, we just sell them. But we don't put them on, we don't mount them here, we don't have the ability to do tires. But if you'll drive down 2 blocks and drive over and drive in, there's a man there that changes tires. So here I am on a flat tire. Now it's about rim. And I drive in there, drive down there, and drive in there, and I go in. I holler, there's nobody in the shop. I couldn't get anybody raised. I finally opened my door, and there's a man sitting there. If I remember correctly, and I think I do, he's got a pistol in his hand, fixing to end his life, fixing to commit suicide, fixing to end his life. And here I am with a flat tire, complaining, and here's a man fixing to end his life because of his situation. I get to take my track up and read to him about Jesus and talk to him about getting saved, about asking the Lord to save, and give his problem to God. I leave there with a good tire and everything, and didn't cost me a penny, and a man gonna follow God and didn't kill himself. I had the flat tire. The providence of God. The providence of God prepping that man was sitting there waiting for me to come in, not waiting to pull the trigger. He was waiting for an answer. I was the answer. God had to take me off the interstate and send me over there. I was the answer. And you are the answer for somebody. And we are the answer for somebody. I just went through a scenario a few minutes ago about getting up in the morning and finding the parking lights on and the car wouldn't crank and I had to jump it off. What is the scenario in that? The scenario in that is that is my way of my conversation. That's the conversation of my life. That's what people see. Back a few years ago, if I'd have got up and had that same situation, I might have broke the windows out of the car. I know one thing, they would have heard me cussing on the other side of town. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning or not. They would have heard me cussing. They would have heard me being real seriously upset and furious over my own stupidity, leaving the parking lights on. Isn't this amazing? So now we got Jesus in our life. Now we got God in our life. And Paul's saying, do things in moderation. He's saying, be satisfied with less than more. Be known unto all men, he said. That's even your enemies, by the way. Matter of fact, it's more important to be known by your enemies as a Christian man than it is to be known as a Christian man by your Christian friends, even though that's important. The Lord is at hand. He said in verse 5, the Lord is at hand. That means he's near. That means he's actually on the scene. You've asked him to come in your heart, and you say, I have Jesus in my heart, and blah, blah, blah. These cuss words come out. Wait a minute now. Do you have Jesus in your heart or not? Jesus doesn't take his own name in vain. Jesus doesn't drink beer. Jesus doesn't do all the things you did before you were saved and you quit doing. Make sure, check your, Paul said, hey, you check your own salvation out, be careful. Look at verse 6. And he says here, be careful for nothing. That means don't worry about anything. But in everything by prayer and supplication, What he's saying is to present your care and your worry and your thoughts and those things, present them to God and say, God, help me in this. And ask Him with thanksgiving. We need to thank God for the air we're breathing. People think this just happened. It didn't just happen. These trees out here make this air that I'm breathing. And they make it exactly perfect. God made that system. God doesn't need air. He don't live in air. God doesn't need food. He doesn't have to eat. God doesn't need a drink of water. He doesn't drink water. God is sustained by Himself. He doesn't need any of this stuff that is on this earth for mankind. He put it here for you and me. We're the ones that eat. We're the ones that have to have a drink of water. We're the ones that have this blood flowing through our veins that won't be there when we go to heaven. When this body goes to heaven, it'll go without blood. Jesus went to heaven without blood. The blood He had, He carried in a basin in His hands. He didn't have it in His body. He shed it at the cross. And He shows us that you can be in heaven in your spiritual body without blood. And He came back down from heaven and walked in the upper room. And He didn't walk up the steps and through the door. He appeared there, showing us some things that we need to see. That in Him, later on, in our new life, we will have these things. Let me get on. Verse 6, be careful for nothing, but in everything give supplication, thanksgiving, let your requests be made known. This speaks of the material and physical and spiritual things we'll have on this earth. And the peace of God. The peace of God. This is sanctifying peace. The peace the Lord gives us. Sanctifying. Which passeth all understanding. Beyond the pale of human comprehension. I went over that a few minutes ago. Here I am going back and back over it. Let's get on. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Wow. He's saying that you and I, in this tainted world today, can live with perfect happiness and peace of mind if we think on these things. Do you know how this is done? Through the provision of the cross. Providing that we are following the cross and the object in our life is faith in Jesus Christ. And the Holy Spirit gives us, and I said this a little while ago, the latitude and longitude of how to do this. We can be in the right position, right in the X, at all times. If we're over here, the X is over here. If we're over here, the X is over here. If we're up here, the X is up here. If we're down here, the X is down here. Our latitude and longitude is in the proper place at all times if it's through the cross. Because the cross is everywhere at all times, everywhere. I can't believe our time has come and gone. I got to read verse 9. Those things which you have both learned and received, and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you. Wow. And I've got to quit right there. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.